Okay, we're live.
Yay, hello, hello. And we are talking today, Katrina and I, the two healthy hens, talking about food sensitivities today. So exciting times. So Katrina and I have some examples we're going to talk about, but I figured first what we should do is just talk about what exactly is a food sensitivity and what isn't a food sensitivity. So you may have heard of things like food intolerances, food sensitivities, allergies, whatever. There is a difference between a food sensitivity, a food intolerance, and just a regular allergy as well. So let's talk about allergies first, right? Allergies are, everybody knows what an allergy is. You can have seasonal allergies, you can have allergies to certain things, and those are usually the things there. It's when you have an immediate reaction in your body to some kind of substance, whether it's pollen or whether it's dust or whether it's whatever. It's going to be an immediate reaction. You can get skin reaction, you can get physical reactions, and it usually comes on quite sudden. So
a food allergy would be like a rash or
yes,
diarrhea or
right. Like people with food allergies, peanut allergies is a good one, right? Some people
right.
have to have those what are those
EpiPen.
things? Thank you, EpiPen.
Woo-hoo.
Right, because you get the reaction, and that's because that's an IgE response as opposed to an IgG or an IgA antibody reaction, which are more food sensitivities. And so a food intolerance is basically you not being able to, or your body not being able to break down the food in your digestive system. Right, so it's your stomach isn't doing that properly. A common one is lactose intolerance. Right, it's just you don't have the enzymes to break down the food. So you can buy the enzymes at the health food store. Those are really good for intolerances because you can take those, they give you the enzymes to help you break it down in your stomach and in your system so you can actually process it. So that's an intolerance. But a food sensitivity is more of a delayed reaction, and symptoms can linger, and they can have they're typically a 21 to 23 day half-life of a sensitivity. So you may not know, you even are insensitive to foods, or sensitive to foods, I guess, not insensitive, sensitive to foods, right? Your body can react by having joint pain or stuff like that. It may not come on, like you may have something for lunch, you may not notice it for days. So that's the difference between allergy versus intolerance versus sensitivity. So today we're going to talk about food sensitivities, right? So, and I do want to note that a food sensitivity looks different for everyone.
That's what I was just going to say.
Right? Everybody's unique. And, Katrina and I could both have the same food sensitivity, but our bodies may react differently. I find when I'm sensitive to food, I tire really easily. I can feel the fatigue come in, and I'm like, why am I so tired? And it's because my body's trying to figure out what the heck to do with with the food that it's eaten. And it's coming out in that way. So, and the interesting thing, sensitivities can develop over time. So you may have been able to, eat gluten and bread your whole life. Now, all of a sudden you eat gluten and you don't feel so well, or you're tired, or, weird things are happening. So you may not even be relating to that because you may be like, well, I've been able to eat it all my life. Well, unfortunately, as we get older, things change. So, it looks different on everyone.
And I think the common ones would be gluten, dairy, and then our inflammatory causing foods, which could lead to intolerances and sensitivities.
Yeah.
And this is where, both Renee and I really focus on paying attention to your body.
Yep, exactly.
What are the signs? What is happening? And then we have to kind of backtrack to figure out where the culprit is. It took me forever to figure out that I can only have organic coffee. I love coffee. And I started having like brutal heartburn. And then I thought, oh, it's just the wine. Cut out the wine, was still having brutal heartburn. Okay, what's next? And the very last thing I ever thought was coffee. And so I was like, oh, hell no. I am not quitting coffee, but I couldn't keep living with the heartburn. So then I started researching coffee, and I learned about organic and shade tree. And now I only buy my organic shade tree coffee, and it doesn't. But I tell you, if I have a shitty cup of hotel coffee, holy man, heartburn for the whole day. Is it worth it?
Oh yeah, that sucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are certain things that can cause food sensitivities too. You may be predisposed to it from birth, unfortunately. If you've had or been diagnosed with leaky gut, you're probably more prone to food sensitivities. If you are prone to poor digestion, and if like example, you have low stomach acid or enzyme production, you're probably prone to sensitivity. Any kind of stress and trauma.
How do you know if you have low stomach enzymes?
You would probably found out by your doctor. Like you probably were in for the doctor for another reason. So.
Okay. So it would have to be a doctor test. Like you wouldn't be able to figure this out.
Well, there are tests. There are tests. We'll get to that. There are tests.
Okay.
If you have sensitivities, I'm just saying that there are certain predispositions that may make you more sensitive to foods if you've had any of these things, right?
Okay. I'm jumping the gun. I'm getting all excited.
Yeah. And then stress and trauma is another thing. If you're going through a high stressful time or had any trauma in your life, you may be prone because your body's already like, and when your body's already in that fight or flight mode, it's going to focus on living, right? Because it goes back to the, ancient times where we were being chased by woolly mammoths or saber-toothed tigers, right? So everything turns off, right? Your digestive system turns off. And so if you're in a constant state of stress, you may be more prone to sensitivities as well. And then how do you know if you have a food sensitivity? Sorry, my Siri is going off here. Do you experience like bloating or gas or diarrhea, right? That's a really common thing. You can get skin reactions too. Some people do when they have food sensitivities. As I mentioned, fatigue is a big one for me. If I, eat something and then a few hours later I could take a nap, I'm like, oh, what did I eat a while ago? If you have brain fog or if you have joint pain or muscle pain, that's another sure sign that you may be sensitive to something you've eaten. So, some of the things you can do if you think you have a sensitivity, there are certain things you can do, right? First of all, you can talk to one of us, like talk to a coach or a doctor. And, we need to understand your health history, like where you come from and where, like if you're undergoing any stress at the moment and stuff like that. But one of the biggest things and most common things that people do is an elimination diet. And, they're never fun, but Katrina and I both run the 21-day reset. Slightly different from each other, but very similar in that we do eliminate food because that way we can tell if we have food sensitivities. So that's a good example of an elimination diet, is doing a 21-day reset. I do want to note the elimination diet, it's not meant to last forever. It really is meant to just figure out what you're sensitive to. So then for future, to be careful. And it may be something that you can still eat the food, you just can't eat it every day. Maybe you can eat it weekly. So it's just stuff like that. And you need to really do address your digestive system if you realize that you do have or found that you do have sensitivities, because you really need to heal your gut and your body will heal itself. So that's a good thing. Like I know that and the other thing you can do, I should say, is you can get food sensitivity testing done. You can get it through a naturopath. I offer it through my practice, but you can get them done. And I had them done. The last time I had one done, it was many moons ago, but it was eye-opening for me because I found out I was intolerant or sensitive to red meat, salmon, all nuts except peanuts, weird things like gluten, casein. I had a whole list of things. I'm like, really? But what I found is that it changes. Like I eat salmon all the time. I have no problem eating it now. I have no problem eating red meat. I don't eat it very often, but when I do, I don't have a problem. I can handle dairy, but I can't go out and eat ice cream every day. Ooh, that'd kill me. It would not be good. And what I find what happens with me and why I ended up getting that test done is because I was sick all the time. I couldn't figure out why I just couldn't recover from one, like I got the flu and then I got strep throat, then I got a sinus infection, then I got strep throat again, then I got another sinus infection. I'm like, what is going on? What I was doing is I wasn't allowing my body to actually heal itself. So my immune system was taxed all the time. So once I got that test done, it was through my naturopath and she said, let's just cut out all these foods for a while. And lo and behold, I got better. I was like, oh my God, I feel amazing. So then I realized, well, I can just every so often try this food and see. And that's what I do now. It's like, I know I can eat salmon now. I'm okay. I can eat red meat. Like, but I have to be careful because it's not really how bad I feel. I don't get the bloating and all that stuff. My immune system is taxed. So especially like during the pandemic, I was very careful because I didn't want to catch anything. So that's what happens personally to me is that if I continue to eat foods that I'm sensitive to, I'll just catch any virus that comes down the pike so easily. So, that's some of the things that you have to look out for. And again, like Katrina said, some of the biggest culprits are grains, dairy, nightshades are another one, and sugars are also on the list. And I think so are eggs. So those are like the top ones that people are typically sensitive to. So if you feel that you do have some of these symptoms, then you may want to look at that list and say, maybe I should cut out some of these foods or try an elimination diet or get tested if you really.
Tapping into that, like I've done the reset many, many times, and I've had many, many different people do it along with me as I run it as a group. And just a couple examples, though, some people do have certain things that they're suffering from. Maybe it's weight gain or brain fog or heartburn or diarrhea or constipation. Their body is just not functioning properly, lacking of energy. And I always tell everyone that weight loss is a side effect. Okay, that is a really positive side effect. But when we do the 21-day reset, it is an elimination diet. That's exactly what we're doing. And so we are taking out the most common inflammatory causing foods. And so what I'm finding, and that I have testimonials and I have people like sending me private messages and posting in my private group among the members, oh my God, I didn't know that tomatoes bothered me. I didn't know that eggs bothered me. I'm never putting dairy back in my diet ever again. And so people, and this is part of the beauty of it, is that people are starting to discover these foods that are causing havoc on their systems. And you don't know it until you actually give it a try. And so Renee and I do offer these, like it's a very specific food groups that we do eliminate, but there are so many other foods that you're allowed to eat. And it's more than just vegetables. Okay. It's not like, oh, we're going to be a vegetarian. You can eat greens for 21 days. It's not like that. There is food that you can eat. There are recipes, there are meals. You do have to prepare, but when you eliminate, and so we eliminate for 7 days, a full 7 days, and then you slowly reintroduce. And as you start to reintroduce the foods, you may have a reaction right away, or you might be like, oh, I did this for 2 days and I'm not having a reaction. But then maybe after 6 days, you're like, whoa, something's not right. So we kind of backtrack as to what you've reintroduced, cut the 1 or 2 things back out, and then you can usually define what is causing the issue. But and like every body is different.
Yeah.
But I think like it's so, I can't stress enough, so I'm lactose intolerant. When I have lactose, I don't get diarrhea. Okay. Like the common thing is, oh, you're like stuck on the toilet. No, I am never stuck on the toilet. But I am so bloated, I feel like my stomach is going to blow up. It is rock hard. And I look like I'm 12 months pregnant, if that's possible. And I can wake up in the
Really
morning
pregnant.
and have a flat stomach. And then if I have like, I don't know what it is, but like Dairy Queen Blizzards, and I'm going to call them out because they put some sort of like extra inflammatory causing shit in their ice cream. And if I have a Dairy Queen Blizzard, that's it. Like I can't move. I am in so much pain and my stomach is rock hard, 12 months pregnant, super painful. So, but then other people will be like, oh my God, I can't eat dairy. You know, I'm like glued to the toilet and they're pooping their brains out, like massive diarrhea. And then I even have some people that will start the cleanse, start the 21-day reset, and they wean, and then they're cleansing, and it can take 4 to 5 days where they haven't had a poop. 4 to 5 days because their body is in shock. It's all backed up. But then I'll tell you on day 5 or day 6, you're going to have a release. But this is all part of it. And then working with myself and Renee, like she said, you know, if you've had leaky gut syndrome, and what we want to do is we start with your guts. We want to work with your guts inside out. So we're going to look at your liver, at your colon, at your digestive system, at your pancreas, which is all the sugars and the insulin. How is your body operating as a whole? Because your liver, you probably heard me say it before, your liver is your command center. And if your command center isn't operating properly, then the signals to all the rest of the vital organs is not getting turned on. And especially if you continue to put inflammatory causing foods in there. Even if you think you're eating healthy, like Renee says, well, I couldn't eat red meat. I couldn't have salmon. The only nut I can have is peanuts. Guess what? Every other nut is not considered inflammatory except for peanuts. And the only peanuts that Renee can have, or the only nut that Renee can have is peanuts. That is an inflammatory, like on the list, inflammatory causing nut. So through her testing, she was able to define that and say, wait a minute, I can't have almonds or walnuts or cashews or pecans, everything that I would put you on and say, okay, almond butter, you know, sunflower seed butter, tahini, but stay away from the peanuts. Well, for Renee, she'd be like, what the hell, Katrina? What the hell? I'm blowing up. I'm rashing out. I can't think. I'm exhausted. And it's from the healthy nuts. So this is like everybody's different. And this is why you want to work one-on-one with a health coach to discover, because these sensitivities, the joint pain that you're feeling, the achiness, the tiredness, the brain fog, 90% of that is probably what you're eating. Even if you think, oh, I just eat like chicken and fish, or I eat chicken and turkey and I don't have any red meat. And how many leafy greens are you having? You know, really, how much water are you having? Really, how much water are you having? And I know so many people who have done the cleanse that say, I can't drink that much. I don't have time in my day to pee. So all those things add up. But I want to ask you, what is your longevity worth to you? Really, what is your longevity worth to you? Do you want to see your grandchildren? Do you want to be able to slide down the slide and push them on the swing? Or if you don't want grandchildren, do you want to travel? Do you want to be, agile as you get older? Because guess what? Everything gets harder.
Yeah. And that's what I found. And that's exactly why I've, changed my career into this, is because I got so passionate when I realized that it was the food sensitivity testing that was my pivot point, because I was like, oh my God, before that, I'm like, I ate whatever. I had no idea. I didn't really think about what I put in my body until I was sick for an entire year. I'm like, this sucks. Like, it really sucks. So it's just when you end up feeling good. And that's one thing and Katrina, you even mentioned it, but I love when my clients go through the reset and they're like, I feel so much better. I have so much energy. That's why I call mine the energy reset. You're the metabolism reset. But it's the same kind of thing. But it is common. We eliminate the common type stuff. And if you have an inkling that it may be an uncommon food that you're intolerant to, you can either eliminate that food, or if you have no idea, you've tried a reset, you've tried an elimination diet, but you're still like feeling bad, then you can get the testing done as well. And the only thing I would say is that it can change over your lifetime. So what you were sensitive to before, you may be able to eat again eventually.
Yeah.
Or you may find you can't eat certain foods anymore, but you were able to eat them a couple of years ago. So
Well, and prime example, like I stay away from gluten. Like I can't do the breads that I used to do. And I don't, but if I were to eat a bagel and cream cheese right now, I would be fine. But if I
Yeah.
had a bagel every morning for breakfast for the next week, I would
Yeah.
be a bloated mess probably by Wednesday. You know,
Yeah.
like my third bagel in, my body would be like, oh, hell no, we are not going back to this. Like, forget it. So sometimes it takes a little while for it to creep up, but it won't take long. And like I say, crappy hotel coffee, like within hours.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, that's
know
funny.
your body, listen to your body. It is telling you what you can and cannot digest, literally.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so that's
Yeah.
all.
Food sensitivities. That was
But I
a good one.
And we can lead into the next, because I think our next one is about the top inflammatory and anti-inflammatory.
Yeah, we are.
foods
I
available.
had that written down. Inflammatory
Yeah.
and anti-inflammatory. Oh my God, look at that lead in.
I know. So it'll be great because we're going to talk about that in the next video. That's what we're going to do.
And I think we're running some summer resets too. So what?
Yeah, I think yours is going to be, yeah.
Mine's July, yours is August, I think.
Mine's September. I wanted it July, but it's not going to work out. So I pushed mine to September. And but I'll be running a challenge in August, a 5-day challenge. So stay tuned for that. I'm not sure which one. I have a multitude of challenges to pull out, but I'm not sure yet. I may be doing my sleep challenge, but I'm not sure yet.
Oh, exciting,
So,
exciting.
yeah.
And if you need to follow us individually, Renee, your website is
www.ntlrx.com. Nourish to Live RX, NTLRX.
I am thewellnessboss.com. So if you're looking for a little bit of extra info, follow us there or on Facebook.
Yeah.
Same thing, right?
Yep. Exactly.
Yep. All right. Okay.
Awesome.
Two healthy hens setting out.